Star Wars connections. Movies and art in general always draw from real life, symbolism, archetypes. The characters, just like real living beings, incarnate these archetypes and frequencies, and imagining stories is a form of visualization, which is part of the manifestation process. We are incarnation of the one source, creator, and therefore we always manifest whether we are conscious of it or not, with our decisions, thoughts, feelings and actions, and the stories we tell ourselves influence all that. This is why a lot of energy is invested into it, as Cobra explained well. Actually there are two factions in Hollywood, the negative faction that tries to control people through the symbols, and the positive faction tries to awaken people through the symbols. Star Wars is one of the stories that has resonated most with so many people throughout the planet. For almost 40 years now it has been breaking records of sales and generating huge fan bases throughout the planet. This is because people know and feel, at least somewhere in their subconscious, that it tells, in a veiled way, the true story of what we have been going through in this galaxy, the struggle between forces of darkness and forces of light. Let's start with this classic scene from one of the original movies, where Yoda, a light master, teaches the main hero of the movie. The teachings given here are very clear and valuable. In the first movie, the Dark Empire has built a huge spheric weapon the size of a moon, called the Death Star. Here it is on the right, next to an actual picture of Mimas, one of Saturn's main moon. This makes sense since one of the main dark presence in our solar system has been around Saturn, where they opened negative portals and installed many bases and implant stations. Strange heat signature on Mimas may be a sign of this. This is why Saturn is generally considered a negative planet in mainstream astrology. The dark presence there distorted the natural energy of the planet and therefore most people have experienced it that way. However, the planet Saturn itself and its moons are not dark. They have good energy of their own, and the dark presence there is being cleared. The soldiers of the Dark Empire in Star Wars are famously called Stormtroopers, which was the name given to Nazi special task forces. Let's move on now to the most recent movie that came out last December, as it contains many awakening codes for the time we are in. Warning: if you haven't seen the movie yet and don't want to know the story yet, do not read the rest of this article. First, the main hero of the light is now a woman, creating a very different energy, and symbolizing the return of the divine feminine. I find it particularly interesting that the Vatican's official newspaper has complained about this new Star Wars movie, especially about the fact that the new villain is not evil enough. I guess they preferred the previous one with his striking resemblance to the previous pope. This is indeed interesting because this previous villain was undefeated during 3 whole movies, while in the new movie, the villain is defeated by the main heroine of the light, in the very first movie they appear in, creating a very different dynamic. This is made even stronger by the fact that this new villain has trained all his life to learn to use his powers, while the heroine has been slaving away all her life and only just discovered her powers. She is more powerful simply because she is working with the light and her soul presence is stronger. On top of that, during the battle between the two, the villain is slightly wounded and he is hitting his wound, to try to gain more strength from his pain, while the heroine beats him by going into a place of calm and peace and being centered, in the middle of the battle. The power of pain is nothing compared to the power of peace. It's also interesting that the stormtroopers in this movie are kidnapped by the Dark Empire as young children and mind-controlled to be soldiers. One of the main hero of the movie is actually a stormtrooper who could not tolerate to work for the dark, escapes and joins the light. It is shown that even just one soldier who quits the dark structure, even low in the hierarchy, is enough to help make the house of cards fall and let the light come in. All of these are clear parallels with real life. There is another code important for starseeds at this time. Both this stormtrooper who joins the light and the main heroine are driven to quit their slave lives and becomes heroes, discovering that they are much more than they imagined, and discovering their soul presence. Another very interesting aspect is in the many parallels between the stories of the previous characters and the new ones. This will make more sense to those who are familiar with the story, just like the previous hero, Luke, the new heroine, Rey, was left by her family as a baby, on a desert planet, for her own protection, and is on a journey to discover who she is. Just like what happened to Yoda before him, Luke has started a Jedi school, which got destroyed by the Dark by corrupting the main student of the school, and as a result Luke went into exile. The Dark has rebuilt their big moon-sized weapon, and just like before, it is destroyed by small ships by finding its weak point, with the help of people going on the inside to deactivate the shields. Just like what happened to Obi-Wan before, after the Jedi school was destroyed, Han Solo went into hiding, came back for a last mission to help the new generation get on track, and is killed in the process. Just like Luke went to find the exiled Yoda to be trained, Rey is going out to find the exiled Luke to be trained. And despite all these repetitions, the story is not boring and feels natural. This is because real life is also like that. Stories repeat with slight variations in a spiral patterns of evolution. Archetypes play out octave after octave until a breakthrough is reached and the energy is ascended back into the source. May the Force be with you.